Jiri Prochazka and Magomed Ankalaev, or Anthony Smith, I guess. But we're going to do a prediction on Ankalaev versus Jiri Prochazka, because personally, I do think Ankalaev wins the fight against Anthony Smith. Gets a nice 29-28 decision. Do I think it's going to be easy? No. Do I think he's going to dominate Anthony Smith? No, I don't. But I think he'll win the fight. And I think most likely we'll probably get either Jan Blachowicz or Blachowicz, however you say the name, versus Jiri Prochazka next, or we'll get Magomed Ankalaev versus Jiri Prochazka next. Either way, sometime in the future, since Jiri Prochazka is 29 years old and Magomed Ankalaev is only 30 years old, at some point, whether it's this year, next year, the year after that, at some point, we're going to get a Jiri Prochazka Magomed Ankalaev fight. It's only fair that fight is eventually going to happen. They're two up-and-coming prospects and future champions that I've been talking about for a long time. In Ankalaev and Jiri, eventually they're going to fight. We all know this. So let's get into the prediction. Let's talk size, because there's a clear size difference. I'm not talking about height and reach and things like that, although there is a little bit of an advantage for Jiri Prochazka. I'm talking about pure size, as in if you look at Jiri Prochazka, you look at Magomed Ankalaev, you look at how strong both guys are, I think Jiri is just a much bigger fighter. He's the much stronger fighter. It's debatable. I mean, you could find some argument to say Magomed's the bigger guy. But looking at Jiri Prochazka against Glover Teixeira, he looks freaking huge, man. He looks freaking huge. Not to mention a 5-inch reach advantage over Magomed Ankalaev is insane as well. So we have size going for Jiri, just the full body mass of Jiri Prochazka on fight night after he weighs in. We have the reach advantage, which is 5 inches, which is going to help him as Magomed looks to close the distance, used to move his head, get inside to land his shots on the inside on Jiri Prochazka, look for the takedown, the single legs, the trip takedowns and things like that. That reach advantage that Jiri Prochazka is going to be yet another thing Jiri has in his toolkit as another advantage over Magomed Ankalaev. That's already 2 things going for Jiri. Nothing really going Magomed Ankalaev. All right, now let's go one more. Let's talk power. Who has more power in their hands, in their feet? Who has more of a finishing ability? Well, that seems pretty obvious. Jiri Prochazka, obviously, getting how many finish wins in a row? Like 10. 10 finishes in a row, some of which against freaking Bellator title challengers, PFL champions and things like that, title challengers, former champions and all that. He has way more power than Magomed Ankalaev, so yeah, that's another thing going for Jiri Prochazka. He's got power. He has the size, muscle mass, and things like that. He has the reach advantage over Magomed Ankalaev. Cardio? I don't know. Cardio is one thing we're going to have to go Magomed Ankalaev. He's going to look a little bit better in the later rounds if it goes to those later rounds. I'd have to venture out to say that. But again, Ankalaev has only been in how many 5-round fights? 1 against Thiago Santos, and it was a very lackluster fight. Not really many things happened. It wasn't a war like Jiri Prochazka over Teixeira, so we don't really know what it's like where Magomed Ankalaev gets into that type of fight where it's not necessarily 5 rounds of kickboxing cardio. It's literal swinging and banging for 5-round cardio that Jiri does have. So cardio, you can go Magomed Ankalaev, but there definitely is a debate to be had as Jiri, I mean, his cardio didn't really look amazing, but they were going all out in the Glover Teixeira fight. So that one's a little iffy on who has the advantage there. Jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go neither guy. I don't think any guy here is really going to submit the other or anything like that. I mean, Jiri's submission defense looked amazing. His submission offense looked really good. Ankalaev's not really the best grappler, submission guy either. So jiu-jitsu will just have it as a little bit of a stalemate. And then, yes, wrestling is going to go Magomed Ankalaev just slightly. But again, that only really gives one real advantage to Magomed Ankalaev in takedowns, in wrestling, in ground and pound, which we saw Glover Teixeira land takedowns, but he wasn't dominating the position. He was getting some really, really good shots off and things like that. But Jiri, time in and time again, kept on getting up from the takedowns, kept on reversing the position and things like that on Glover Teixeira many, many times in that fight. He looked very good on the ground. So I can't go out there and say Ankalaev is going to go out and take down Jiri Prochazka, dominate him on the ground, because Glover was having a tough time doing that himself, and I deem Glover Teixeira the best wrestler and grappler in this UFC light heavyweight division. So, with all of that being said, looking at the advantages, looking at where both guys strive, looking at their physical attributes, their size, their length, their height, their speed, their power, their wrestling, their grappling, their striking. If they're looking at it all, seems like a pretty clear choice to me that Jiri Prochazka is probably going to win the fight. Magomed had a tough time landing shots on the inside on Thiago Santos. He even got rocked in that fight. He got hurt against Thiago Santos, almost got knocked out. If Jiri Prochazka can do the same thing, which is going to be a little bit easier, given that 5-inch reach advantage that he's going to have over Magomed Ankalaev, whereas Thiago Santos, it was only a 1-inch reach advantage. So that's another thing going for Jiri. Again, is going to be that reach. Every time that Magomed Ankalaev tries to close that distance on Jiri Prochazka, he's going to get hit with something big. And it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, that Jiri's going to knock him out. So my prediction for the fight, after evaluating pretty much all there is to evaluate in a Ankalaev-Jiri Prochazka fight, 2 rising prospects and stars of the light heavyweight division, I have to deem my prediction a Jiri Prochazka second or third round TKO. That is the prediction. Jiri Prochazka by ground and pound TKO after cracking Magomed on the feet. A little bit of ground and pound to finish him off. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Put your predictions down below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.